This is my follow-up video to my Japanese visit to the temple called Ise Jingu. The temple is dedicated to Amaterasu, the goddess of the sun. The interest started while I was a doctoral student at the University of Pittsburgh, where one of my mentors was also on my doctoral committee. He was a Japanese specialist, and he talked about the sun worship in Japan, and I have talked about it in my earlier video. How Japan became so successful in spite of the fact that it is a country with the meager natural resources because of the sun. It's a country that is very proud of its heritage and also its religion. So I remember my professor telling me that Japan modernized but never westernized, and I began to understand that when I went there. This is my second visit to Japan, and the first visit I didn't feel that, but in the second visit I did realize what he meant by modernization versus westernization. You find hand in hand science and religion going on without any conflict there. So I thought that I would say something about it so that people would be able to take advantage of holding tradition and science together. And that is very profitable, particularly in the context of any older civilization. Now, Japan is a country, as everybody knows, which is a $1 trillion economy, and it is because of the left brain, which is associated with the sun god, with the sun in the yoga tradition. So if you want a very strong and powerful left brain, you have to access the solar energy, and this is something that we need to look at very carefully and also see the power of hydrogen, because hydrogen is consciousness as God, and I'm also going to talk something about something on this concept of hydrogen as God. And Japan has a very good relationship with hydrogen, both positive and negative, and I mentioned it in my earlier take. But now I want to talk about my visit to Ise Jingu, and I want to give you some snapshots of some of the pictures that we took while I was there. I felt even before I went there that this goddess was very strong. Her name is Amaterasu, and whenever I called her, she came. There is proof for it, and I have often mentioned ultraviolet rays as symbol of God. So there are certain, whenever I called, then the ultraviolet ray appeared. So this is very interesting to look at, and also has some profound message for us to study ultraviolet rays and what kind of intelligence that this UV light can provide for us in terms of not only intelligence but also of healing. And this is being investigated in the U.S. Recently somebody has been given a Nobel Prize for the blue light. I want also you to take a look at that. What I am planning to do at some time in the near future, to take a group to go and explore Japan, not simply from sociological or anthropological perspective, but the perspective of phenomenology. Phenomenology is the religion or God looked upon as a phenomenon, because I am a phenomenologist, particularly looking at the phenomenon without reducing it to social sciences or even material science for that matter in recent times. It has a lot of potential, particularly when you look at the Shinto religion. I went to a few of the Shinto temples where there is a god that protects the aborted fetus, you know. Then I saw the images, and the tradition is very rich and alive, but like anywhere else in the world, there is a disconnect between tradition and its meaning. So there is a meaningless component which goes along with a lot of people going to the temple without knowing what it is they are doing. For instance, even Amaterasu, when that day went there were at least about 100,000 people there. But none of people, or at least most of the people, did not know what was going on. You know, just a pilgrimage, and that happens in almost all religions. People are like follow things without inquiring what it is all about. But in Japan, there is a good opportunity for, especially for Japanese people, because they are basically are scientists. They have a scientific mind. They have a mechanical mind. And if they get to know about this rich tradition and which accesses the supernormal powers, it will be very interesting. And it is also going to be very useful for everyone to go visit these shrines. The Ise Jingu shrine for Amaterasu, which I visited, has 600 priests. 600 priests, Shinto priests. And then the ceremonies are like giving breakfast to the goddess, lunch to the goddess, and then also dinner to the goddess. You know, treating the goddess as if she's a living being. You know, which also is a very meaningful tradition, which goes unfortunately unexplored. So I am planning to revisit, and I thought that I would announce it to the people who might want to join me and then explore the possibility for Amaterasu. I must confess that after I visited Amaterasu, the goddess's power has become so powerfully present in my own consciousness and guiding me in my personal life. God bless.